I wasn't gonna pursue this as a career. I just made an agreement with my dad. Um, so he's like after I graduated, and there's like stipulations like into that too. I went 14-0 as an amateur, and I had four kickboxing fights. I had a IKF title, and I told my dad, I was like, once, because his rule was like, if you're gonna be in my house, you have to get a job, and go to school, or you can just go to school, but like you got to figure out how you're gonna support yourself.
Yeah.
And so, or he said, or you can go to the military. So like my alternative was to go to the military. I was gonna join the Marine Corps, and talk to some recruiters and stuff. I wasn't gonna pull the trigger or anything like that, but just quite yet. But I told my dad, I was like, I want to be able to defend my title, and then I'll join on enlist. And I was like, but I don't want to work. I was like, I just wanted to train for this fight, and I can live with that, and everything that I had goals with, I met them, and I was like so ridiculously stupid and like naive at that point, where like everything I set my mind to, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take gold at Naga. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take gold at Grappler's Quest, and I did all those things. And then I was like, okay, well, let's take an amateur fight. All right, I'm gonna win that. Let's take a kickboxing fight. Okay, I won that. My coach at the time had a sword, and I was like, well, I want to fight for a sword. So he got me a fight for a sword. I got me a sword. You know what I mean? So everything I targeted to, I was like, well, what else can I do? You know what I mean? And like I said, I didn't really know sport really at that time, and I was like, I've done everything I've said I was gonna do. So I guess I'll just, try to go make a living in the Marine Corps or something. And it didn't pan out that way because the opponent that I was supposed to fight, he I I trained at this gym, and they were like very flaky kind of. And so I had transitioned to another gym, and once that guy found out I switched gyms, he didn't want to fight me anymore. And it was called Mean One at that time, and we were like sister gyms with Jackson's. And I was 17, 18 years old, you know what I mean? And so me and my dad are kind of like trying to figure out, like, because our agreement is, let me defend my title, I leave for the Marine Corps. And so when he had this conversation with me, I'm a man of my word. I told you, I was like, well, I was like, ultimately, like, neither of us got our end of the deal. I was like, but I can still enlist. He's like, well, let's see. He's like, let's see like where this goes. He says, just go ahead. And so I met this guy. He was the first black belt out of Greg Jackson's like Gaido Jitsu, and his name's Chris Trail. And I met up with him, and he's like, man, you have mad potential, but you're not gonna fight for 6, 7 months. And I was like, well, I'm trying to fight for this kickboxing title, and that kept getting pushed back. Kept like just not. It just was not resonating. And so when I talked to him, I looked at my pops, and he says, let's just do this. I was like, okay. He's like, but you got to go get a job. So in the meantime, I worked at Target, and I was like unloading the truck at like 4 a.m. all the way to like 10, go train, and then I'd get off, and then I'd go do landscaping right after, go back to the gym, train some more, and then I did like janitorial work and like stripping wax at like hospitals and different things. So like I was constantly like working and training. And then in the meantime, I was getting better at my game. And finally he let me have my first fight. And we, like I said, we went on that run, that like 14-0 run. And the problem was that I could not get out of the first round. All my fights were ending the first round,
Yeah.
and he would not let me turn pro until I got into the second round. And so like one fight, he had me going to the second round intentionally, and it was like a video game. He was just like, all right, go to side mount. All right, take him down. All right, hopping him out. Well, he almost caught me in the guillotine.
Oh,
And I was like, no, no, we're done here. We're done here playing this game. So I just tapped him out with an armbar real quick. And it was kind of weird. And then I could not find fights after that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And we were going to Vegas, we are going to Laughlin, we are going to anywhere that could would take me. I fought weird guys that like would fought, in tournament styles that were like 26-6 as an amateur. And I was like, nobody wanted to fight him. And I'm like, why are you even amateur? You should be just a
Yeah.
pro, you know? But I take that fight, and man, it just, like I said, it's been a journey, but that's pretty much when like I beat him, and I floored him in like 40 seconds. And my coach is like, we can't do this anymore. He says, we're gonna have to turn you pro. And so, like in the midst of all that, because I was winning so much, my dad's like, you know what, Steve? He says, we might have a shot at this. He says, I personally don't want you to do this. He's like, I want you to become a doctor. I think you should go to school. And I actually told him, I was like, I'm gonna go to school. I'll go to school. And so I started going to school to be a firefighter. And I got all the way to the end. I have like 3 credits remaining, and Bellator calls me, and I signed my first contract with them, and it kind of was like the takeoff of like my pro career in a sense. But that's kind of how it all happened, man. So like I didn't have intentions of being a professional fighter. I didn't watch the UFC. I just was good at fighting. I mean, I come from a fighting state. Um, New Mexico is really known for alcohol and fighting. So I don't drink, and so I'm good at the other one.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Now, I mean, obviously, you had a great start to your pro career. I believe you were 6-0 to start. You had the split decision loss with Ricky Tercios. Had a
Yeah.
few other good wins. One of your most notable on the regional scene being Chepe Mariscal, who's also going to be fighting on this card as well. Um, when you did hear that Dan Ige was pulling out of or not, my bad. When Danige's opponent, Joanderson Brito, was pulling out of his fight, and you heard that Chepe Mariscal, a guy that you actually knocked out on the regional scene, was getting the shot over you. Why do you assume maybe that the UFC is giving him that shot when he's got 2 decisions in the UFC, and you're putting on these exciting fights, 3 knockouts in a row?
Man, I kind of asked the same question. I'm not trying to like throw shade at the UFC. I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. Uh, if I'm Dan Ige and I'm thinking I have to fight someone in a replacement, I'm not saying that he's a coward or anything like that, but the easier fight is Chepe. The easier fight is Chepe. And when I saw that, I was pissed because like they've done this before. It's not like they haven't. I am scheduled to fight
Song
Choi. I
Choi.
don't some Suwon Choi, whatever. And so, and no disrespect to him, no disrespect to him because I've seen him. He throws down. He's a gamer, and I think that's why they like this matchup, anyways, because he goes for broke at times. Like he's fundamentally good. Um, but I thought maybe I have no problem. I fought 5 rounds before. It's not an issue. I train 5 rounds anyways because I'm not training to be a 3 round fighter. I'm training to be a main event, and I'm trying to I'm aiming for the gold. You know what I mean? So like I want to make sure that like I'm ready if a phone call happens. And so when I saw that opportunity, and I gave it a few days, and I was like, they're probably gonna find someone that's like maybe ranked or something, and then nothing. And then all of a sudden, I just reach out and I was like, well, if you guys need someone to step up, I'm right here. I'm already on the card. I'm ready. It's I've been in camp. I just have to change obviously my game plan. Going from a striker to someone who's a really good grappler and can throw hands. You know what I mean? So little bit of a game plan change up. But other than that, like I'm good to go. And they just kind of didn't really look my way. I got a lot of like looks, and then especially with your help, you know what I mean? You kind of just like made that post, and all of a sudden people were like resignating. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm not scared of these guys because even they offered me Danny Ige earlier this year. So after I beat Costa, I fought him in I think December, like early December. And I ended up taking my son and my wife to Disney World like the first week of January or second week of January or something like that. And well, like the day that I got there, they called me and they're like, "Hey, like there's a spot. It's a main event spot, and we think you should take it against Dan Ige." And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" And I was like, "When is it?" They're like, "Oh, it's 2 weeks, or it's like 2.5 weeks." And I'm like, "Man," I was like, "Dude," I was like, "I just got here to Florida. I just fought. It's not like I didn't just fight." I was like, "But then I'm gonna have to like fly home or something like that and start training." I don't know if I my weight was like decent, so like I might I probably could have pulled it off, but I don't know, man. I just like I I bite myself, like I keep myself like every time, thinking about it, but I had to pass up the opportunity. And I don't know if that has any effect on maybe this opportunity, but at the end of the day, I can't control what's like not really anything that's in my hands, you know what I mean? So like I can control what I can control. I can raise my hand and just be like, I'm down if you guys want to scrap. If you guys don't, like that's not meant for me. You know what I mean? Like it's annoying because like I look at Chepe and he's doing well. I like when I fight opponents and they do well and I beat them especially, then it shows that like the quality of people that I fight and that I beat are actually legit. They're really good. And Chepe's had some solid fights. But I had my way with him. You know what I mean? It's not like I was barely squeaking by. Like I dropped him several times. Like if you go back and watch a fight from like opening gate, 10 seconds. Like he was on the floor twice. You know what I mean? Um, he's improved. He's done great things, but I've been here a lot longer than he has, and I kind of don't understand it. So your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about obviously your wins aging well. Obviously, Chepe is definitely one of them because he's undefeated in the UFC right now. Again, like I said, two being decisions, which I don't understand that scenario. But another one of them was a guy that moved up to lightweight right after you beat him. And one thing I would like to point out is he had never been finished going into that fight, Chase Hooper. And
Oh,
you were the first one. You knocked him down maybe two, three times in that fight and ended up getting the finish. He's also gone up to lightweight, and just like Chepe is on a 3 fight win streak in the UFC. I mean,
yeah,
the confidence for you has to be pretty high, knowing that like a lot of the guys you are beating are going on to just look really, really good after they fight you.
yeah.
So you know you're ready for the top 15. You knew you were ready for Dan Ige this weekend. After this fight with Sung Woo Choi, is that the plan? You're going to be trying to get someone in that top 15 next? Is there like a maybe Dan Ige or Chepe winner? Would you like?
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, I kind of don't really want to fight Chepe again, but I think it's kind of pointless. But I'm. This is the thing: is that UFC is the promoter, right? Their job is to promote.
Yeah,
My job, they pay me to go fight, and I get paid to go put on performances for the people. The only way that I know how is all in or not. You know what I mean? So when I fight, I'm not trying to squeak by. I even feel like one of Chepe's fights, like a lot of his Chepe's fights are like very what do you call it? Like bangers. You know what I mean? And that might be something that they like. And for me, I have my bangers, but I'm shutting people down. You know what I mean? Um even but I think even one of his fights, like it was almost kind of like a fluke because he like tried to do like
yeah,
a hip toss and his arm came out or something. You know what I mean? And that guy was actually pretty good, and I believe he was winning. You know what I mean?
yeah,
At the end of the day, all that matters is if you have a win or a loss right next to your record, and it's helped him. And you know what? Kudos to him because this sport is not easy. This job is very very. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world. So like I'm not gonna take away anything from his shine. I just don't understand it. You know what I mean? Um, but I'm gonna be looking towards the top 10 or top 20 or top 15 because I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew, nor am I trying to make something that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like if I like I'll just kind of just keep it like on me. If I'm getting paid, let's say 30 and 30 to go fight uh Choi, okay, but yet they want me to fight Danny Gay at 30 and 30. The price the like the tags don't match up. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You're fighting someone who is not even ranked. You know what I mean? But you're gonna fight someone who's ranked for the same like pay. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Business wise.
yeah.
So I'm like, all right, Troy's no slouch. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do everything I can to beat him. Once I establish that, once I have that happen, then I'm gonna go and I can negotiate a higher contract or whatever the case is, and then I can fight these guys that are a little bit more tougher. You know what I mean? It's gonna hopefully get me a little bit closer to the top. And yeah, man, that's the plan. You know what I mean? Plans don't always work out the way that I expect it to. I leave it in God's hands, and that's where I leave it.
So you were talking about obviously renegotiating your contract after this next fight. And do you have
Yeah.
like one or two more fights left on the deal?
Contracts, yeah, no. Chase Super was the end of my first contract. Then I beat North American Costa, and those were on my current one. So normally they renegotiate after like your third one. So if you win, you know what I mean. If not, they'll see if they'll keep you around on your fourth. It's the UFC though, like everything is in their advantage. It's tough. Um, if they don't like you, then they just get rid of you. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you lose, I'm not saying you are, but you are
Yeah.
already, in my opinion, like a top five most exciting guy, especially in this featherweight division, and
Yeah.
especially outside of the rankings. So, I mean, you would think, especially with the win, they would want to sign you for a pretty big deal and give you that top 15 shot. Because I mean, although they did offer you the Dan Ige fight on just way too short of notice, 2 weeks was not enough time for you.
Yeah.
You have to think with another win here, you're able to go out there, put on another impressive performance against Sung Woo Choi, that they'd want to put you in a similar position later on this year or early next year in a main event spot versus one of those guys in that top 15.
Yeah, man, I could agree with you. All I can do is like what's in my control, and that's just be undeniable, man. Like, uh, people have different ways of getting attention. I'm kind of more old school, and I'm just gonna just keep doing what I'm doing to these guys. And I know it's harder and harder every time, but man, like I have a niche for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be cocky or anything like that, but I have a chip on my shoulder. All these guys want to see me lose. All these guys, maybe because I'm not a mouthy guy. You know what I mean? Like I try to stick to like, you know, my morals and try to, just really just the art of our martial arts. You know what I mean? And um, does it bite me in the butt? Absolutely. You know what I mean? It absolutely does. And I think they would want somebody that's, you know, yapping all the time. But if there's an issue, I'll address it. And I normally address it with facts. But other than that, dude, like we get to solve our problems or have whatever our beef is squashed. You know what I mean? In a cage. So if you want to have problems, we can have problems. But I've never been the type of guy that just gonna just like, you know, look stupid. I always told my wife this, and I told my family this. I was like, if I wanted to act like an idiot, I would have joined the circus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not here to play games, and I think people are starting to like see that. You know what I mean? I'm the real deal, and if I can keep finishing these guys, that's the plan. You know, what I mean, that's the motive. Um, they can't help but just be like, all right, well, he's next in line, like he's doing it. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a few other guys who are kind of like you. They're not in for making nonsense and talking just out of their ass sometimes. They're
Yeah,
just they're standing on business basically and letting their fist and their chokes do the talking.
sure,
Your opponent Sung Woo Choi seems like a similar guy. Obviously, I don't really know what he's saying. He's
yeah,
South Korean, so
sure.
but obviously there has to be like no real beef between you and Sung Woo Choi
Nah.
or anything like that. But how do you view this matchup? Do you expect it to stay on the feet? Do you expect him to dive for the legs once you're able to crack him possibly on the feet?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like he seems like he's very, very gung ho about his striking,
Yep.
and he's fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
If you look at him, he's very traditional. I think he's a Muay Thai champion somewhere.
Yep.
He has that nice little like rhythm. He has like a good sense of it's like a good sense of awareness when it comes to his range, when it comes to a few different things. It's gonna give me a little problems if I don't nip it in the butt right away. But truly, I think he wants to keep it on the feet. If I hit him, hard enough, a couple times, and I can keep just like almost just repeatedly kind of doing like a Chase Hooper situation where I'm going to sit you down and I'm going to sit you down. He's going to want to just, dive at my legs. Um, and I only say that because that's just been like my almost like what's just happened to me with people that strike like Costa. Like I know he has good grappling, but man, that kid was trying to strike with everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't expect him to dive on my legs round one. Like round one, he was on my legs like I was going out of style. You know what I mean? I didn't expect that. I thought he wanted to fight, and to his defense, like he won the round. You know what I mean? It was boring, but that's how some people can win these fights. Um, you give me enough space, like I'm gonna start making something happen. And I think I thrive in chaos. You know what I mean? Like some people don't really thrive in chaos. So I could see him maybe shooting it from my legs. He's gonna try to keep it on the feet as much as possible though.
I mean, even this early into your UFC career, obviously you have a few fights in the organization, but already you're seeing guys like Melquizael Costa, like you're saying, having such respect for your striking when he's striking most of his fights in the
Yeah,
UFC, and with you he's going for takedowns. You already have that respect, so I would assume Sung's gonna probably strike. This is my personal opinion. He's probably
yeah,
gonna
I
strike
agree.
for a little bit,
Yeah.
feel a shot, and then kind of worry about the game plan that he has made for his camp.
He has good defense too. Like a lot of people try to take him down. The only person that I think really succeeded was
Movzar?
yeah, Mozart. Yeah. He's the only one that really succeeded, and he still kind of struggled a little bit. Like he has good defense. He has good like cage work. He has good get ups, and he knows how to reverse people. But I also feel like these other guys that may have hurt him didn't capitalize on opportunity.
The
And you know what?
Mike
He does
Trizano
really
fight,
well.
I think.
Shizano, well,
They
no,
had like a little back and forth type of thing.
yeah, I think
Feel
he
me?
did a better job, but I'm kind of more talking about like Kulabao. I'm talking about
Yeah, that yeah.
there was another one. Is his last fight who he's won. It's
Jarno
Singapore, I think.
Aaron's.
Yeah, Aaron's, and he caught him with I think it was like a upper, it was like a right hand uppercut or a hook or something, and right away just jumps in someone's guard, and I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you're in the UFC. These guys are gonna know how to survive. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it. Everybody's gonna do it. That's why I say there's an art to it. And I'm not saying that like it's like I know all and I can avoid it. You know, it's also hard when you're in there and it feels like, you know, I know it's not bullets, but it feels like it's bullets going past your head. You know what I mean? And you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get this fight over with, and you just like I'm gonna seize my moment. And if you don't do it correctly, man, it can you're gonna bite. It's gonna like bug you after the fight for sure, especially if you lose. And then even if you win, you're like, damn, I could have finished it right there. I just all I need to do is pass the guard, or I need to pass the feed, and or I could have let him up, and maybe he's still affected by the shot that put him down in the first place. Like there's lots of different ways to kind of go about it, but um, he knows how to survive. He knows how to take a shot. He definitely knows how to weather the storm. And the thing is that I just need to do the best job that I can to making it a storm the whole fight. He needs it to calm down. He needs it to have space. He needs those moments to capitalize on maybe a read he's trying to make, or like foot wars or jab wars or whatever the case is. He really likes his left hook. You know what I mean? So like there's just a lot of things that like he goes to, and and I just got to capitalize on things that I see. But he's gonna do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I've been saying this whole interview, 3 wins in a row, potentially four. Let's just say, for an example, 2025, it's June. Where do you expect yourself to be? You expect yourself to be on a 6 fight, 7 fight knockout streak in the UFC? Do you see yourself being high up in that top 15? What do you think your limit is for the next year you have in the UFC?
Ultimately, I just want a number by my name. You know what I mean? So, uh, however, whenever, by any means necessary. You know what I mean? So, like, that's kind of where my mindset's at. Of course, I'd love to have, a 6 fight, win streak or whatever the case is. But I do know that we're all trying to climb to that one spot that's almost impossible to get to. You know what I mean? Um, at this point, man, I just want to make this is the truth. I obviously the end game is obviously the belt, right? But man, dude, like I almost kind of like would like the BMF belt a little bit better just because I go for broke, man. Like we're gonna throw some chingazos, bro, and one one's gonna fall, one of us is gonna be stumbling everywhere, and I'm gonna get up, he might get up, and those are the fights that like I feel like, man, like as a true fan, you don't even have to be a fan, but like if you turn on the freaking TV and you see these guys just going at it, and man, you're just like, dude, this guy's crazy. Like, who is this guy? Like when Steve Garcia is fighting, I want people just to be like, dude, we gotta watch this card. Like, I don't even know who else is fighting, but this kid, he's gonna give it everything he's got. You know what I mean? And I can live with that. You know what I mean? I can live with that. I can get to the top, do whatever I got to do. But man, every time I get in that cage, I want people like, dude, like I want to be a fan favorite. You know what I mean? That would be great. That'd be great. I don't care if you don't like me or hate me. It doesn't matter. But every time I step in there, you're gonna expect people to get hurt. It's just how it is. And you're literally gonna get like a first. I mean, if you're there in person, you're gonna get like a personal view of a car accident in a sense. You know?
Yeah. And you were talking about the BMF belt, of course, and then the actual belt. If you were to choose, like let's just say the UFC offered you Max Holloway, right, like today for the BMF belt main event, or they offered you Ilya Taporia for the actual belt, what would you choose? Obviously, some people would be like, I need that gold around my waist, but to be known as the guy that's going out there is a bad mother effer with Max Holloway. What would you value more?
I'm going Max, 100%.
Wow.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Tapori is a bad dude. You know what I mean? All respects to that guy. Um, Man, there's just I don't know. I'm not saying that like that the BMF belt is just better. I'm just saying like it's suited. It's like it's in my alley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like something I'm trying to like work for. I just want people just to really really like me. When you have someone that's like just the champion, they like I look at like Makachev, dude, he's actually like a lot more well rounded than people think.
Mm-hmm.
But when you tune into a Makachev fight, you're expecting to see wrestling. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And they're so good at it, it's kind of hard to avoid. But when you see a BMF belt, you know leather's throwing. You know what I mean? Leather is going, it's flinging, and at that point, it's almost like gladiator style. You know what I mean? And we're just lucky that there's a ref in there so that one of us don't die.
Yeah.
You know,
With
and
with that
that's just something.
would that be like your number one fight out of any fighter in UFC history? Would Max Holloway for the BMF belt just be on the top of your list?
That would be, yeah, that would check all my boxes.
Yeah. I mean, I could honestly say even now, even before you're in the top 15, you could put Max Holloway in some dangerous places. Obviously,
Sure.
he's never been knocked out, but you're
Yeah,
knocking out everyone. So there's some ifs and questions
yeah,
about who could win that one.
sure. I like I said, ultimately it's something that I'm still trying to like perfect and stuff, but uh just to even like have, a shot or an opportunity to fight Max without a belt,
Yeah.
that would be a dream, man. Like in a sense, like coming up, there's people that you just kind of look up to in a sense, and you're just like, man, that dude is making waves, and he became like a fan favorite. Everybody
Yeah.
loves Max. And I love his attitude. I love his mentality. He's such a like almost like a good dude, you know what I mean? But he's a bad dude, you know what I mean? And to be both, that's something special, you know what I mean? And I've always saw him as like one of the best guys to compete in the sport, you know what I mean? And to step into a fight with someone like him, man, that's win or lose, bro. Like one, I'm giving it everything I got, and I think that's enough to add to maybe his resume as one of the better performances, better showings it to the people of the world.
Yeah, and speaking of Max Holloway, obviously we see his YouTube channel. He's surfing, he's skateboarding, he's doing a lot
Yeah.
of other stuff besides MMA that are showing him how human a fighter can be. Is there
Mhm.
anything you like to do? Obviously, I know most of your job is eating, training, sleeping, repeat, rinse, and
Yeah.
repeat. What are some of the main things you like to do when you're not in training camp or maybe just right after training?
So like I'm a pretty like big family guy, but
Hmm.
like outside of that, I love ultimately like if you can put me anywhere, it's on the golf course. Like I love to play golf. I love that I can be competitive and not get punched in the face. I love that I
Yeah,
can be competitive against myself, or I can be competitive against someone else. I love those, and um, I love to fish. I really enjoy fishing. Um, I love to hunt. Hunting's fun. I'm a bow hunter. That's fun. And yeah, man, if I'm not doing any of those things, I'm normally like with my family, or like I'm trying to like get my family involved in the golf too, because it gives me more reason than an excuse to go play golf. And
Yeah.
my wife, I bought her a set of clubs last year, and she's actually getting pretty good at it. And but I did that a little bit selfishly because I wanted to go play golf. So, and she'd be home. She's like, "Well, why are you going to go play golf and I don't?" I was like, "Well, I'm gonna buy you some clubs, and then we'll both go." So, yeah, dude, that's kind of the things that I like to do. Um, but yeah, man, those are, as far as like hobbies go, like those are the things. I'm very athletic as far as like sports goes. Like I'll if you can, if you want to go play basketball, let's go play basketball. If you want to play baseball, we'll go play catch or something like that. That's those are the fun things I like to do. Um, I love food, which is very,
Yeah.
very hard when it comes to being a fighter because it's annoying. But here in New Mexico, we don't have a lot of fun things to do here, but we have good food. So,
Yeah.
um, man, if you like chili or like spice, we're a good state to come check out. Um, but yeah, man, that's pretty much what I do. I'm a Sunday morning church type of guy. I I also have a job outside of this, and gotta pay the bills, bro.
How long have you been in New Mexico at I believe Jackson Wink MMA, am I correct?
Yeah.
And then
So
like who are your like main training partners that have helped you throughout your UFC journey so far?
um so I mean, yeah, I've lived here my whole life. Jackson Wink, I've been out of that place since I was 17.
Wow.
Um, where I fully on committed, I think I was like 3 or 4 and all as a pro. I don't even know. So there's been some time back in like 2014, 2015, something like I don't even know. And coming along the way, like when I came in, man, dude, like Jackson Wink was just a hot spot. It's just a hot spot of just talent. And I got my butt kicked every day for about two years until I could actually start doing the butt kicking and stuff. But I was able to compete, and that's what was kind of cool about it, is that like even though like I felt like I was getting, not necessarily my butt kicked, but like I wasn't winning more rounds than I was losing. You know what I mean? I was kind of like struggling with the best guys in the world, like Diego Brandao, and it was John Dodson, and then it was like um early on it was like Leonard Garcia, and it was Cowboy Cerrone, Yuri Alcantara, and then um we had we had so many good guys. Diego Sanchez was a big training partner of mine for many years, and um Carlos Condit, and man, these names just kind of go on, and it's cool because those are the guys that really elevated me in my career. I just took a lot of beatings from them, and I guess it makes you tough, and then then you start to kind of get smarter, and then they kind of help you and guide you along the way, and then obviously the coaches see you stick around, and if you can stick through some of the beatings that I've gotten, they're willing to put some time into me because they know I'm committed,
Yeah.
and then they elevated my status and my levels. So those guys really really just pushed me into being like someone here in Albuquerque, and just kind of just being a staple in that gym. Well, it's kind of sad because a lot of these guys, they're kind of like on their end of their journeys and their careers. Um, and so, I feel like in a sense, they've told me like, all right, you're the next to step up, man. So, um, yeah, I'm just trying to just follow their lead, and they left a blueprint for me, and I got the coaches along the way, and we're just gonna just try to take this as far as we can up to the top.
How long you're saying they're sort of towards the end of their careers? Where do you see that being for you? I mean, you're 32 years old right now. A lot of people like to say that's the prime age of a mixed martial artist career. When do you plan to finally step away from the game?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. Like in a perfect world, if I can get to a title at 35, win it, call it quits, maybe have a couple fun fights in between. I could live with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as legacy goes, as far as financially, it's tough, man. Like people don't know the actual ins and outs of like how we get paid and how actually professional athletes deal with finances and stuff like that. It varies. People see a number maybe disclosed by, the UC can disclose everything and just kind of is very open about it. But when you have to get to the UFC, you got to know people, or you got to be with a group of people that actually know people. That's how it is. Like you can't get to the UFC without a connection to them, and you know, with that comes, percentages and management teams and stuff like that. And there's really good management teams that, are worth every dime. And then there's management teams that are just sorry. And I've had both. Um, in my career, my dad's owned his own business. So like I was with him for many years, but he always told me, he's like, when I can't get you to a spot, I'm gonna find someone that will. And so he managed my career for many years until, we finally were able to get to the UFC. Not even so much get into the UFC. It was like I got on a win streak, and then my dad's like, all right, like we got to seize these opportunities, and we can find a management team that will take you. And you're obviously like on a run, so they're not gonna like shun away from you.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I was with like two management teams, and the one I ended up, sticking out with was with Iridium, and
Okay.
um, like I said, they're worth every penny I give them, but at the beginning it's like 20% to them, then you got to pay 10% to your gym. Sometimes it's 10 to 15 depending on what it is. And then we got to dude, Uncle Sam, he likes his taxes,
Mhm.
you know. So that can vary depending on how well you are at business. Um, for me, this is my personal thing, but I'm a believer, and I pay my tithes and stuff. So like when you sum it all up, man, you maybe make half of whatever that you totaled. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you made $50,000. Okay, well, you probably walked away with 25. You know what I mean? And then you got to
Yeah.
make that last until your next fight. And if you don't fight 3 times in a row, you know, just depends. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, injuries could really, really ruin the financial side of it because you're planning on fighting in a certain date and then it doesn't happen for whatever
Yeah.
reason. It could totally screw up that time period. But that's all I really have for you today, Steve Garcia. I mean, it was a great chat. I love talking to you. But is
Yeah. Same.
there anything you'd like to say? Obviously, you could probably tell I'm a Steve Garcia fan. There's got to be a lot of Steve Garcia fans out there.
Yeah,
But
man.
to the people that aren't Steve Garcia fans yet, haven't seen you fight, what would you like to say to them?
Nah, man. Just tune in. You don't have to do anything else. Just tune in. I'll do the rest. You know what I mean? That's my job. That's what people tune in to watch. And I can't guarantee anything,
Yeah.
but I promise you, I'm gonna give it everything I got. And man, and when I do that, great things happen. Um, I'm blessed, man, 100%. And yeah, man, the more people we can reach, the more opportunities I think I'll have. So if we can just grow this fan base, as big as possible, man, we'll do big things. And I'd love to, have as many people to come with me as possible, and let's just get to the top. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Steve, for taking the time out of your day. I know you've it's UFC 303, so I'm gonna go put that on my TV right now and
Yeah,
watch it
it's
with
on
my
right now.
dad. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So thank you so much, and we'll talk again maybe after your fight.
yeah, man, let's do it. I can
All
do
right,
it.
thank you so
All right,
much.
you take care, brother.
You as
All right.
well.